Hey everybody, it's Professor Stines, and I'm here today to kind of talk about assignment 4. This is the definition for assignment 4. Basically, I kind of want you to create a validation function that's separate from the calc total function. If you kind of read what's going on here, most of the code we've already written in previous assignments in the calc total function is kind of what I want to see in the validation function. And kind of what I want you to do is rewrite this calc total function. So this is how I'm going to kind of approach it, and you can kind of feel free to, as long as it kind of solves what it need to do here, um, kind of open to what you want to do. Anyway, so this is the JavaScript that's left over from last assignment. Well, first I'm going to do is I have a folder up here. From the last assignment, I'm going to just rename that guy to 4. Then I want to open up at least these two files in Notepad. And in this one, I want to put that as a 4, and that one as a 4. And I'm going to go ahead and open that guy up too. So everything should be working the same as last time. I got my data in here. I can go through and I can put in some stuff here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, whoop. And I kind of get my order. Um, so we're just going to kind of clean up the code a little bit for this, and that's kind of going to be the point of this assignment. So if you're kind of looking at the assignment definition and at the code we've been working on, basically calc total is kind of doing what we want to do with the validation function. So I'm just going to kind of cheat a little bit, I guess. Validate form. Just kind of rename that function to be validation. And then down here in my init function, way down here, I want to change this to be validation instead of calc total. So that kind of, everything should still kind of work the way it did before. I still get kind of the error messages, and if I put in stuff, I should still kind of get when I should still get my error messages disappear when I hit the button, and I still get my thing down here. So for the most part, we're still working. We haven't fully done the assignment. We haven't called a calc total function yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of come down, and after this curly brace, and this curly brace is the curly brace that defines the whole validation function. And sometimes, a notepad over here on the left, you can kind of collapse a function or two. So I'm not really dealing with the login function today. I'm just going to kind of collapse that. Um, this might help you out if you know how to do that. Anyway, I'm going to kind of come down, and after this function, I'm going to define another one, and this one's going to be my new calc total function. And basically what I want to do is I want to kind of call this function and run this code right here, if the page is valid. That's why, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take this line right here, and, the comments too. I'm going to take this line, I'm going to kind of put it back up towards the top where I reset the error messages. So I'm going to do that just to kind of get it out of there. I don't necessarily need this part of the else statement, so I'm going to simplify a little bit and take that off. And what I want to do is I kind of want to just take this code, copy it, cut it with Control X, and kind of put it in the calc total function. And I want to call the function this way. So basically, it's kind of the same code as before. If the validation function is true, then I'm going to call this function here, and this function is going to kind of execute this stuff. Now, there's a problem with what I've done here, and I'm kind of going to show you how you can see it and how you don't see it. We're getting pretty close to solving the requirements here, but there's a problem in that, okay, well, my error messages work. They do kind of what I need them to do. I can go through and I can still put in 2, 2, 25, and some stuff. Should just keep that on a notepad or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. So when I hit submit this time, I got a message, but I got this weird stuff that's in it right here. Um, the best way to kind of describe what's going on, your total is not a number, is that these variables don't have their value. So in this function up here is where we're defining these variables by finding the elements on the page. But in this function, these don't mean anything because the variables in the previous function are only scoped into this function and they kind of end right here. Um, so really these guys have no value. What Chrome is doing is Chrome is kind of looking at the HTML part and assuming that you're trying to look at the HTML form of unit price, which, as we know, that's kind of what this input is. So that's why you see input element, and input element is that it's kind of pulling the first name text box and the last name text box because we're using the same, kind of using the same name. Um, Chrome does it, Firefox does it, Opera does it, but unfortunately Internet Explorer does not do it. So if I kind of pull up my page here in Internet Explorer instead and allow black content, is if I kind of do the same thing as I did before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, nothing happens. So if I kind of look at the profiler here when I hit the button, it's kind of telling me that unit price is not defined, and that's because, well, it's not. It's in a different function. It doesn't have any relevance to it. So there's kind of a couple different ways to solve it. One way would be, well, technically you can kind of just pull this function inside of this function. And so by doing that, these variables are still within the scope of the main variable. So if I were to kind of save that and run this guy again, 2, 2, 2, 25, da 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 da, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I kind of get an answer this time, and it's kind of the right answer, the one we're looking for, because of where this function is. It has these variables have value and from up above. Uh, I'm not really sure that's the way I kind of want you to solve it for this assignment. I think the point of this assignment is to kind of get you the idea of passing parameters to functions. So where we're being called at right here, we have, these variables have value, but they don't have it once we get down here. So one way to kind of do that is just to pass these variables with the function. So if we pull, pass unit price, pass discount rate, and we pass quantity, and we pass first name and last name, and kind of pass those variables with the function. I'm going to kind of copy it all right there. And we're going to let the function here is going to take those values in. So I'm going to save it this time. Hit the enter button again, start it up, and this time it should also still work like before. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we still get a value. Um, that difference kind of shows the difference between different ways to do it. I mean, you can kind of solve it the same way. The downside is that if I had this function inside of here, and I don't have to pass these parameters around. If I wanted to call the calc total function from somewhere else, I wouldn't be able to because I'd have to go through this function in order to reach it because that function is a part of the validation function. So if I was outside in the init statement and I wanted to write something that calls the calc total, I would have to call it through the validation function in order to get the calc total to work. That's why I don't think this is probably not the right way. I think the more right way is to kind of have it defined outside of that scope, kind of like this, where that function ends. Um, So anyway, that's kind of what the assignment's asking you to do is just kind of solve, create a separate validation function. I kind of showed you the easy way to do it is just to rename functions and create a new calc total. Uh, Solving it the same way just depends on how you want to solve it, I suppose. The last two in the in this assignment are basically I kind of want you to look at these two pieces of code and try to figure out what they do. And it shouldn't be too hard. You kind of can just come in and create a test page in your thing and test.htm. And I'm just going to kind of create a basic page here to get it started. I type HTML, 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 head tag, posing head tag, body tag, output one, because I'm going to kind of put them both in the same page, so I'm going to make a div ID output 2. And I kind of look back at the code. I can kind of just copy this guy out, to be honest. Kind of paste it into my page here. Whoop. I want to add a script tag first. In one of the discussions, we had to talk about how there's different ways to write JavaScript. I'm kind of asking you guys to all write it in a separate file, but you can kind of write JavaScript this way. Some people don't really kind of consider it the right way to do it. You shouldn't really inline things like this. But it works, and it's kind of we're just making a test here, so it's pretty it's pretty straightforward. And I'm going to kind of do the same for the second piece here, kind of figure out what they do. Tab, come back one. And this one's going to be output 2. So if I kind of run my test page, I should get 2 answers, and so it's working. This code is working. It's doing what it's supposed to do. What I want you to do is I kind of want you to figure out what what each of these pieces of code are trying to do, kind of how they work, and why is these answers coming up? I mean, what are they representative of with these two functions? Um, so hopefully you guys won't kind of give it away in the discussion questions. I kind of want to people to kind of figure this one out on their own. This is a pretty standard method for doing what this function does, so kind of easy to once you kind of see it once in one language, it kind of applies to all languages. But that's pretty much the assignment. That's what we need to do this week. I think it's kind of easy. Once you kind of figure out the easiest way to make this happen, I think this little short video probably should help. But there's lots of paths that travel to the same destination, and so the destination is there should be a validation function that checks most of the things, and then if it's valid, it calls the calc total function. Um, so as long as you get there, that's what I'm happy about. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Have a good week. Bye.